Hold up.
Okay, good evening. It is 5:30. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I would like to welcome the Lego League here this evening with family and friends. Nice of you to join us. And as a reminder, I would remind you to please turn your cell phones to silent. And if you would please stand as we do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Chris, would you take the roll, please?
Councilmember Stevens?
Here.
Councilmember Strebe? Councilmember Berg?
Here.
Councilmember Rowe?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dalby?
Here.
Items on the consent agenda. Minutes from regular meeting number 32 on November 19th, 2019 as presented. Approve reappointment of John Olinger to the Zoning Board of Adjustment, term to expire 12/12/2024. Approve the appointment of Jeremy Pipe to the position of Housing Code Enforcement in the Health Department effective December 2nd, 2019. Approve the appointment of Kayla Mulder to the position of City Finance Director effective December 9th, 2019. Approve the appointment of Josh Miller to the position of Beach Maintenance Worker at the beach effective January 6th, 2020. Civil Service Commission eligibility list for November 26, 2019, Police Department Communication Specialist. Resolution number 262, 2019, accepting the work as final and complete and approving the final pay request for the Water Pollution Control Facility VLR Gate Installation Project. Resolution number 264, 2019, award the contract for janitorial services for City Hall to Professional Janitorial Services of Ottumwa, Iowa, in the amount of $2,000 per month, and authorize the Mayor Pro Tem to sign. Beer and/or liquor applications for Uncle Buck's Bar and Grill at 518 Church Street. All applications pending final inspections.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, take the roll, please, Chris.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes. This time, I'd go ahead and make a motion to approve the agenda with the removal of items H1 and H3.
Second.
Okay, take the roll, please, Chris.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes. Okay, moving on down. At this time, I would turn the meeting over to Interim Administrator Lazio for the Administrator's report to Council and citizens.
Thank you, Matt. It's my privilege to introduce Brianna Hinman, and she is the instructor at the Liberty Endowment in the Talent and Gift Program. So why don't you step up and tell us about your students?
Okay, sorry, we're a little nervous tonight. All right, so as Mr. Lazio said, my name is Brianna Hinman. I'm a kindergarten through fifth grade talented and gifted teacher with Ottumwa School District. I teach at Liberty Endowment, and this is my 11th year being a tag instructor for the district, as well as a first Lego League coach. And so tonight, my students have a presentation for you about what they've been learning about since the beginning of September together. And so it's about First Lego League. And so First Lego League is, just to give you a little bit of background, it's a worldwide competition for 4th through 8th grade students. And the competition involves a real world problem and solution that the kids are trying to come up with. Research, it involves or encompasses creativity, teamwork, presentation skills, and coding through a theme. And so McKenna's going to talk to you a little bit more about the theme, but this year's theme is City Shaper, which is all about problems with buildings and public spaces in our community, which is why the kids wanted to talk with you tonight, since that relates to what you guys are doing. as well as, like I said, the kids have been working on this project since the beginning of September together, during school on Fridays all day, on Sunday afternoons into the evening, as well as after school from about 3:30 to 5 multiple times. In addition to that, we're getting ready for our regional competition, which is at Indian Hills Community College on Saturday, December 14th. So we invite anyone who is welcome to come. It is open to the public. And if the students advance from there, the state competition is at Iowa State University, hosted through their College of Engineering in mid-January. So I'm not going to do a lot of talking. I'm going to let the kids talk. So I'm going to step over here. We have a presentation here. Okay, so I'm going to let the kids kind of introduce themselves, just their first and last name, how old they are or what grade you're in, and then what school you go to.
I am Lydia Kruger. I am in 5th grade and I am from Liberty Elementary. I am McKenna Ryan. I am a 4th grader at Horseman Elementary. My name is Finley Zadoff. I'm in 4th grade and I go to Horseman Elementary. My name is Addie Thompson. I'm in 5th grade and I go to Liberty Elementary.
My name is Raina Plate. I'm in 5th grade and I go to Horseman Elementary.
My name is Spencer Dalby and I am in 4th grade at Liberty Elementary.
Hi, I'm Joseph Nauman and I'm a 4th grader at Horseman Elementary School.
I am Daniel Sierra. I'm a 5th grader in Liberty Elementary.
Hi, my name is Ramon Hernandez and I go to Liberty and I'm in 5th grade.
This year in LEGO League, the theme was City Shapers. So we started coming up with ideas for problems in the city that needed to be solved. We then began with our choice of the problem. We began thinking of solutions for that problem, which we would share with our class that we voted for it. We decided to go with the Untrouble Bubble. So we began building the Untrouble Bubble and working on our skit, which we are going to share with you today.
Our core values are the ways we act at competition and at practice. At competition, we'll go into a room and have to complete a challenge that we are not aware of ahead of time. Then after that, they ask us questions about what our core values mean to us.
The technical interview is where we go in a room with the judges and we talk about our strategy and how our missions were made. In this interview, we also talk about a robot named Bulldozer and what special things it has and why we chose it. The technical interview is one of the 4 parts that make up the first LEGO League competition.
The robot game is when we run our robot to get points. We have 2.5 minutes to run our robot. We run our robot 3 times. Each mission is worth a separate amount of points. We each do different missions on our table to get the most points possible. The reason why we want to present to you is because you are the ones that control what we build in our town, and you make the final decisions of what we do in our town. You guys are the leaders of our town, and our project will be built in public spaces such as libraries, parks, college grounds, etc.
So they have about a 5-minute skit. So as McKenna kind of talked about, they've been studying about anxiety. So after they each did their own individual project about City Shaper this year, and they all had a problem that they focused on that was different than everyone else's, and then they came up with a solution. The kids decided to vote on which one they'd like to study further for the season. And so Finley had an idea about anxiety, about how she found online about how large cities such as Chicago and Detroit, how they have all these large buildings, and those buildings can cause high anxiety in people versus people that live in rural areas. And so that's what the kids decided to focus on. So that's what's going to be the topic here. Want to get in your spots?
Hi, we are the Stress Stoppers Team 363. We hope you enjoy our presentation.
Did you know that urban dwellers have a 21% greater chance of developing anxiety disorders than people who live in the country? Did you know that the hustle and bustle of urban living can have a big impact on our physical and mental health?
Did you know that the brain of a person who lives in a city handles stress in a different way than people in the country? Kayla's friends are at the library working on a project, and Kayla gets anxiety. Guys, we have to finish this project or we won't get a good grade.
Kayla, we have a lot of time.
No, we don't.
Quiet, please.
I agree with Max. We have 4 days left.
Maybe you need to go home. Faith and I can keep working.
Yeah, I think this new big city life is getting to you. Did you know that large open spaces and long hallways in buildings can cause anxiety? A library employee walks over to Kayla and her friends.
Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. You might be facing a little anxiety. Anxiety is where you're persistently stressed and worried about things. Anxiety is very common. 18.1% or 40 million people in the U.S. are experienced by anxiety each year. I have something that can help you.
He leads them to the front desk. How can I help you?
I think someone here needs to be on trouble bubble.
Yes, you know people in the city are more likely to have anxiety than people who live in rural places. I have something that can help you. You just have to fill out the paper and I'll give you.
Kayla walks down the street and sees a crowd.
You must be here to try our invention, the untrouble bubble. First, you scan your card. It is probably if you're bored. You will have 30 minutes in the untrouble bubble. When the 30-minute timer goes off, all electronics will power off and it will say have a good day. When you get inside the untrouble bubble, there will be art supplies. There will be headphones that will guide you through reading tips, other videos, and music. There will also be art supplies, a whiteboard, a comfy seat, and a desk. There will be privacy windows and curtains. There will also be slides and solutions for electricity. How did you come up with this idea? We researched about anxiety using books, articles, magazines, websites, journals, videos, and experts.
She steps into the untrouble bubble.
Wow, this is amazing. Ooh, stress balls, music, and drawing. This looks like a great solution.
After a while, she comes out.
How much does the untrouble bubble cost? The untrouble bubble costs about $7,200, but it will last many, many years.
Kayla's friends come back to check on her.
Hey, you're back. I was getting worried. Me too. Thank you all. This was amazing. I'm feeling much better now. I think I'm ready to continue working on your project. Good to hear. Spread the word about the improbables. You can find more information on our website and blogging site. Good luck on your project.
Remember, when you're in the bubble, you're out of trouble.
Okay, what questions do you have for them?
I got it. All right.
Good.
So I know you talked about it in a big town, but do you have places you think in Ottumwa there should be an untrouble bubble?
Well, I'd say anywhere that's really busy, like maybe downtown, because I know that is a place where there's a lot of work and the most traffic. So maybe one downtown or in the library, because that's where we were originally going to place our untrouble bubbles.
I just got a quick question. Out of all the ideas out there, how did you come about picking this one? Was it a tough choice to pick this one?
Well, when we heard that there was problems that we needed to solve in the city, everybody in our class just went home and thought up an idea that we could use. And once we all had come up with our ideas, we voted. And the person that got the most votes was Finley's project, the Untrouble Bubble. So from there on, we've been working on building and practicing our skit.
Awesome. Awesome.
Do you want to tell them some other ideas that you didn't choose, but ideas that you guys studied about?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Some other ideas besides anxiety that we did was air pollution, littering, and parking.
That's a good one. Yes. Yes, definitely.
One person also decided to research about natural disasters and how we could solve them in cities, because that was a very big problem.
Well, it's kind of funny you mentioned that because, this whole project that you did was about anxiety. And I can tell you this relates to cities, large cities versus rural areas. But the whole concept of anxiety itself, I couldn't tell, when public speaking and stuff, a lot of people are, anxious and nervous to get up in front of a crowd like you all have. And I can tell you, none of you look like you were experiencing any anxiety. You guys did a fantastic job up here tonight. And just on behalf of the city council and the city, we support you and we think you've done a wonderful job. A great presentation. And just on behalf of myself, I want to wish you good luck in your competition. And once again, Brianna, we learned something every time you come before the council, whether it's the water bottle presentation or the anxiety. You guys really do your homework, and we are very proud of what you've done. So hats off to you all. Very well done.
Short.
Nice work, knocked out the park right or left here. We'll just. Nice job.
Thank you.
Great job. Done a lot. But the competition, keep doing what you're doing. Dude, you're awesome, man. Nice personality. Great job.
Mr. Mayor, I'd have to say, I don't know how many of us were this confident, poised, and able to speak in present public in the 4th and 5th grade. This is outstanding.
Yes.
So, great job, Brianna.
Yes, definitely.
Chief Tony, would you give them a little assistance? We have amongst us a junior council person.
Got an extra addition to the meeting.
I think to keep us moving, I'll go ahead and get started. Item number 2 on your report is a visit with Andy Wartenberg from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Andy, would you tell us about your program and also what you're asking the council to consider?
Thank you, Mayor. Let me start by saying that's kind of a tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. First of all, good evening. Thanks for hearing me out today. What I'd like to do is talk a little bit about moving forward with the CVB. I've tried, since I've been here about a year and a half, to keep you apprised of what we're doing over there. So I want to kind of review quickly. And as you know, our contract is up for renewal in July 1st. And I want to talk about funding. So let's go ahead. Oh, thanks. Let's just briefly talk about some of the things we've been able to accomplish over the last year and a half. I won't dwell on these a lot. You can see, obviously, RVTV, which is a big success for us. I think Number two, it's probably the most important. What we really want to focus on moving forward is making Ottumwa a preeminent destination for conferences, for weddings, for sporting events, things like that. And these are some of the ones we want, and we're continuing with that. Number three, we streamlined our operations by incorporating CV as a separate corporation, provided marketing support for 200 area events. And I think it was important that we change our sponsorship program from just giving out our money to being a little more judicious with it and tying that money to marketing and advertising. And also we developed and implemented an economic impact model, which we've used for several events now. So we have a better idea of what these events are not doing just for the event, but for the city as well. I hope everyone is following us on Instagram. This is our third Instagram campaign of the year. Right now we have a holiday one. A few more. We redesigned our website. Conducted destination advocacy program, which some of you have taken. We did it for 32 businesses. The next one is very important because as a CVB, you have to understand our job. I understand our job is not just to get out and sell this product, our product as a destination, but work with other organizations to make our destination more sellable. So that's why we work with other organizations on gateway signage, riverfront, the hotel. We'll be working on the Great Places application starting in January. We are currently, we did two niche programs with surrounding CVBs. One was we did shared itineraries on websites. We will be having the Great Southeast Iowa Getaway in October of 2020 in conjunction with Pella and Oskaloosa. Again, of course, we've really enhanced our digital footprint, weekly email blast, design new visitor guide, restaurant guide. These are, I think, some of the highlights. But again, happily, from 2018 to 2019, our tax disbursements, hotel tax increased by 8%. But I thought it would be instructive real quickly to kind of look at where we stand on our funding levels in comparison to some of our sister cities in Iowa. And as you can see, we are at 35%, the CVB, as you all know, and that puts us a little bit lower on the spectrum. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, give me more money, and I will automatically guarantee that we are going to have an increase in hotel tax revenues. But I think it improves our chances. Obviously, there are external factors that affect, visitors, groups, construction, things like that. But as you can see there, we're pretty low compared to some of our sister cities. And yet again, with what we've had to work with, we've done pretty well this year compared to, again, some surrounding cities. You can see, I believe I showed you folks this slide at my last presentation. So, having said that, what I am requesting is an increase in our portion of the hotel tax. I'm requesting a minimum increase of 2.5%. Now, if you take that 2.5%, base it on that $485,000 that we took in last year, that comes out to about $12,144.39. And I think the important thing is here, okay, fine, CVB. If we give you that increase, what are you going to do with it? And here's what my plan is. My plan is not to get a company car for the CVB. My plan is not to spend a lot of money in print advertising. I'm going to do one thing and one thing only with that increased money. Folks, this is what we've been able to do. Some of the groups we have been able to attract. All the money that we get from this increase will be earmarked towards getting more conferences, more sporting events, more weddings here to Ottumwa. And just to give you an idea of how I see this happening, let's say it's about $12,500, anywhere, say $12,000 to $2,500. I estimate we'd put about 40% of that into digital advertising, places like CVET, meetingpages.com. 10% in group sales video. Some of you are aware, we are currently producing a groups video, which will be done probably in about a month. We are going to be able to put on our RFPs, on our website, on our social media, a video which just focuses exclusively on why you should bring your group to Ottumwa. That 10% will be used to upgrade and enhance and advertise that. 30% I think we would use for meeting planner FAMs. As I think all of you know, we just completed a very successful FAM trip for meeting planners, for travel bloggers and writers, which resulted in several blogs and about 50 social media posts. And by the way, I want to publicly thank the Legacy Foundation for helping us in putting this together and paying for this for us. 10% in-office presentations. Sales is still about relationships. It's important for me to be out there. And the other 10% is to do one trade show, the IMEX show, which is every year. And that's basically nothing but destinations and meeting planners getting together. So again, any increase that the CVB gets will be used exclusively to up our game in getting group business here. So a couple questions will arise. If we get that increase, what's it going to do for us? If you recall back in April when we were discussing the hotel, we did an economic impact estimate of what a conference and what a 2-day, 1-night conference would do, or what a wedding would do. And you could see just one conference right there, 3-day, 2-night conference with $88,644. Compare that against the $12,500 increase. And the other question is, of course, okay, if you're getting an increase, somebody's getting a decrease. What about Bridgeview Center? Okay. Well, again, going back to our April presentation, you can see what one conference would do for BVC revenue right there, 2-day, 1-night conference and a wedding. And let's talk about the beach. Also, anytime we have a conference here, especially if we have in the summer, we believe that will result in more business for the beach as well. So I think this is a very modest increase. I think we've made some strides here, but I think we need to keep that momentum going. And that's why I'm requesting that increase. So I'll take any questions anybody has.
Not really a question, but some comments, Andy.
Yep.
Just to remind the public, this is the second time you've come asking for an increase, and to what the council said the first time, we asked you to come back after you had had some time in your seat to see what the performance level was and how far we could move the CVB forward. And I'm speaking just from my own personal experience with you. I think that you've delivered in spades to this point. I think that you've done a fantastic job.
Thank you. Appreciate
you
that.
were handed in some cases a little bit of a train wreck, and you have done more than I think any of us thought that you could have done at this point in time. So congratulations and great job on that.
Appreciate that, Councilman.
So I think that us holding up our end of the bargain, we do need to take that the request seriously, and I would say, as a matter of caution, at least from my perspective, and I know that you've been doing this so far, but the work needs to continue, the relationship with the Bridgeview Center, because a lot of this relies, a lot of us moving forward in our visitor program and conferences and things like that is going to rely on your working relationship with the Bridgeview Center. So I would just encourage you to keep those lines open and keep moving forward with that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
Anybody else? I would echo Mark's sentiments. Can't add anything to it. Keep up the good work, Andy.
Thank you.
Definitely done a great
Thank
job.
you.
Likewise.
Thank you. Well, thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch, and this good segue to roll into item number 3, which is budget information. We'll be looking at the budget very carefully. Christy and I will also be working with Kayla and looking at every item on the budget. And remember, we have management and operations as well as our CIP this year. And I think we won't know until the end of this month what our actual tax revenues will be. So until we get that information, we're not going to make any predictions. Once we get that information, we'll share that with the council and the public, and then start looking seriously in January at the budget requests that you've presented to the council. So it's going to be a tight year. We've committed our CIP already pretty heavily. So we want people, and we've told our department heads to be realistic and ask for what they need. We know there's a wish list out there, but we want to at least see what they really need versus what they want and what they'd like to have. So, and then another item that I wanted to just compliment, again, I think we're so fortunate in this community to have the volunteer help that we have. Fred Zessinger from Main Street and Fred Jenkins from the Main Street Board did the Circle of Love and the lights in the Central Park Friday after Thanksgiving, and we had a great crowd in spite of the rainy weather. And I just think that's a tradition that we've gotten started now, and it really is a very moving and powerful experience for families to come and gather and support each other. So we want to continue to thank them and help them to make that possible. An item that I want to call to the council's attention, though, we appreciate all the volunteer work that we get from all of our citizens, especially the people who have worked on the Nights and Lights. That is a massive undertaking and really takes a lot of coordination and time and energy. However, this year we've run into a snag and we've got some issues that we're working on with our electricians and safety of the park facility. Let me just say we haven't resolved the issue yet, but we're working on it. We have several department heads and staff and doing some research with other cities. Our first responsibility as a city council and as a city staff is the safety of our residents, and that's what's guiding us. So we will be giving some direction to the chamber and to the Nights and Lights crew when we get this pinned down. But it is a difficult decision, and a lot of the state codes that we are referred to are designed to protect the safety of residents in our public parks. So we, again, appreciate their work. We're going to work with the chamber, do what we can. We'll keep you posted on that the best we can. And then in consultation with Mayor Pro Tem Dalby, I'd like to request that we do a special work session in January to talk about our transit system. I think there are some interesting developments there, and I'd like to get some council input on that. So right after the first year, we'll set up a time to have a special meeting and make some recommendations so that you can come back and take some action on that. With that, I'll close my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lazio. Okay, moving on down. This is the point in the meeting where we welcome citizens to address items that are on the agenda. If you want to do that, please pick up a form there in the box on the rail there and see your way to the city clerk to give that to her. Again, this is for items that are on the agenda if you wish to publicly address those. Okay, moving on down to departmental recommendations.
Bid report and contract award for asbestos removal and demolition of 902 South Hancock. Recommendation: accept bid and award contract for asbestos removal and demolition and disposal of the structure located at 902 South Hancock to Dan Larson of Ottumwa, Iowa, in the amount of $3,450.
Move the recommendations presented.
Second.
Okay, Kevin, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city accepted bids for this project until 2 p.m. November 26, 2019. 6 bids were received. The best bid was from Dan Larson, the amount of $3,450. Staff recommends awarding the contract to Dan Larson.
Okay, are there any questions, comments on this item? Okay, Chris, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Bid report and contract award for demolition of 1006 Tuttle. Recommendation: accept bid and award contract for demolition and disposal of the structures located at 1006 Tuttle to Daniel Fain of Eldon, Iowa, in the amount of $5,900.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Okay, Kevin,
Thank you, Your Honor. The city accepts bids for the demolition of this project until 2 p.m. November 26, 2019. 6 bids were received. The best bid was in the amount of $5,900 from Daniel Fain. Staff recommends awarding him the contract.
Okay, is there any questions or comments on this item? Okay, Chris, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Bid report and contract award for demolition of 210 South Van Buren. Recommendation: accept bid and award contract for demolition and disposal of the structures located at 210 South Van Buren to Daniel Fain of Eldon, Iowa, in the amount of $5,999.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, once again, Kevin.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city accepted bids for this project until 2 p.m. November 26, 2019. 5 bids were received. The best bid was from Daniel Fain in the amount of $5,999, and staff recommends awarding him this contract.
Okay. Questions, concerns for this item? Okay, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the sale of city-owned property located at 502 Lee in the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Kevin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Carr offered the city $250 for a vacant lot located at 502 Lee. The buyer owns property next to the city's vacant lot. The property will be transferred by quitclaim deed, and the buyer will pay the cost of publishing the public hearing notice and recording fees.
Okay, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody wishing to address this item, now is the time to step forward and do so. Anybody? Okay, not seeing anybody, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Chris, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Resolution number 255, 2019, accepting the offer and approving the sale of Lot 69 in A.E. Hammond Second Edition to the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa, commonly known as 502 Lee, to Teresa L. Carr for the sum of $250. Recommendation: pass and adopt resolution number 255, 2019.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments?
Will this be used for green space more than likely?
I think it is yard space for the intended use on this one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any others? Okay, take the roll, please, Chris.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the proposed renovation and purchase of 203 East Main, 116 South Market in the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa, to J. Kelly Reed and Lois M. Reed, doing business as Kelly Reed Real Estate, LLC.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing, and I imagine, Joni Keith, you have this.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city acquired 203 East Main / 116 South Market through the Iowa Code Chapter 657A, processed as abandoned property under Iowa law. This property is full of miscellaneous debris, storage items, and trash, and is in need of prompt renovation. We opened this up for bids. We received 3 bids. The best bid was for $27,000 from J. Kelly Reed and Lois M. Reed, doing business as Kelly Reed Real Estate, LLC. They'll have 3 years to renovate this property. And the bid tabulation was attached to your packet. We reviewed the bids, and city staff is recommending that that bid be accepted as the best bid. So if council is agreeable, we'll get that development agreement signed and proceed with the quitclaim deed.
Okay, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody in the audience who wish to address anything on this item, now is your time to step forward and do so. And seeing none, go ahead and entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Chris, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Resolution number 261, 2019, approving a development agreement with J. Kelly Reed and Lois M. Reed, doing business as Kelly Reed Real Estate, LLC, for the renovation of 203 East Main, 116 South Market and authorizing the sale of 203 East Main, 116 South Market in the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa, to Kelly Reed Real Estate LLC for the sum of $27,000. Recommendation: pass and adopt resolution number 261, 2019.
Is there
Move
a
the
motion?
recommendation as presented.
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments on this item? Okay, take the roll, please, Chris.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Resolution number 259, 2019, support and financial commitment for the Main Street Ottumwa program. Recommendation: pass and adopt resolution number 259, 2019.
Okay, is there a motion on this one?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Okay, I'd second that.
Second.
Okay, Skip seconds that. You take the roll, please, Chris. There's no questions.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Resolution number 263, 2019, accepting the work as final and complete, approving change orders, and approving release of retainage to RG Construction of Ottumwa, Iowa for the 2018 upper story housing pilot project for the 300 block of East Main Street, CDBG number 18OT001. Recommendation: pass and adopt resolution number 263, 2019.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, questions? Okay. Bradley?
You want to see what it looks like?
Absolutely.
Not going to introduce me?
You do such an amazing job.
You're demanding.
I don't want to interfere. I love PowerPoints.
The man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, so we'll give you a little before and after preview of or view of this project. Really very well from start to pretty much the end. I was hoping to have it done about 6 months ago because I've been working for free for a long time. But about the project, you already saw this slide about 12 months ago. It's a big partnership between IEDA gave us $500,000. Then the city had to be considered the developer for this application, even though Rippling Waters Property Development is the actual owner and footed most of the match money. We did have Alliant through the Hometown Rewards Committee throw in a little bit to upgrade the water heaters from regular electric water heaters that go in these downtown buildings to the heat pump water heaters that are something like twice as efficient as that, which is important because for the first 5 years, the owner actually has to pay for some of the utilities on 3 of the 5 of these. So project timeline again, IEDA pitched this as a pilot project. This isn't a regular program. Through the CDBG process. But because of the way our project performed and the way that the other 2 around the state are going, in January, this is going to become an official program of the CDBG funding pool. So hats off to everybody here, especially you guys and Rippling Waters for jumping in. This is going to be a great thing, not just for us, but for downtown statewide. So you can see a really rapid timeline there from August to now. We went from no project at all to complete development, and they're on the market now. So here's the final project costs. Coming about, what is that? About $50,000 actually less than what my budget was for the application. When we actually got the construction budget back from RG Construction, who was the winning bidder, we actually finished the project almost $26,000 under our contingency funds. So total construction cost there for the units. That doesn't include the architectural or any of the fees, but just a little over 195,000 per apartment, which I know that they had that Asbury project that was going to be developed a couple of years ago. The brand new green site contractor had about a $205,000 per unit cost on those. So we're not doing too bad redeveloping within our downtown area. And if you look at the way that the taxes have gone on some of the buildings that we've already redeveloped in that downtown area in the last few years, it's more than paying for itself. Again, the city only kicked in $25,000 on a $1,057,000 project. So that's about 2%, something like that. Pretty good ROI. You've seen the floor plans, 2 1-bedrooms, 1 2-bedroom and 2 3-bedrooms. Here's kind of the fun stuff. Here's this big pile of trash, not unlike that 203 East Main building that you just got rid of. Here it was just a little over a year ago. There it is under construction. And that's what it looks like today. It's got a nice deck off the back that goes straight down into that parking lot. It's going to have 2 parking spaces right behind it. And that deck's actually, the stairwell is going to allow access to the back deck that's going to be built on 305. Easy, not hard to get parking there. So if that's a concern for some people. There's parking lot right behind it, perfect access. There's the other one right there I was talking about. Some of you might have enjoyed some beverages up there. About a year ago, there it was under construction earlier this year, and that's what we look like today. On 315 East Main, actually got a little bit of facade work to count on this one because it needed some tuck pointing, needed new windows. This was infested with pigeons. He caught somewhere around 205 live pigeons in there right before we started this project. And this is the last half facade left in that block that hasn't been touched. So that'll be done once this project's over. There's the back. Again, really nice big deck off the back. Straight into the parking lot there, and it's actually going to have 2 parking spots on its own as well. So there it was after demolition. We couldn't take any decent pictures in there because of the conditions before they demoed it, as you'll see here in a second. That's what it looks like today. So that's the reason we couldn't take any good before pictures, because there were swimming pools full of delicious water. And that's what that same view looks like today. 320 was a little better condition because Rippling Waters abated this and demoed it when they redid manpower downstairs just after they fixed the facade. A couple quick, really nice little pass-through kitchen. These are the efficiency 1-bedroom, whatever you want to call them, units. All these have, modern utilities, appliances, LEDs, washer dryer in there. Again, it's got that nice heat pump water heater. This one's got a cool deck off the back that you can see to the Bridgeview Center. Maybe. There we go. Again, cozy little spots. Don't ask me about rents because I already forgot. And that's it. I guess we had a group of Main Street, Missouri people come through last month, and they said, man, these are nicer than some of our, like Liberty, Missouri and places like that cost a lot more to live. They were pretty surprised at how cheap the rents actually were compared to some of the places that they come from. So pretty awesome stuff.
It's extremely awesome, Brad. When people say why downtown, it's because you can see from the pictures, we were just several years away from total demolition of our downtown. And then, like you said, with minimal city investment, we've not only got multi-residential and almost 90% filled. That's tax revenue coming back in to not only pay for that investment, that accumulate tax revenue into the future.
Well,
That's why downtown.
That's
why we
money
did
you're not
this.
spending on demolishing buildings too.
That's beyond the point of keeping our downtown.
Yeah.
And that's when people ask why downtown. That's exactly why downtown. So thank you for sharing that. That answers all the questions.
And again, we're a model for the state now. So
Yeah.
5 years ago, would you have thought that anybody would say, let's go to Ottumwa to take some advice?
Exactly. We hear it all the time now. It's surprising to me too at conferences and stuff. So yes, thanks for all your hard work. It's really paying
No,
off.
thank you guys.
Bet. Any other questions for Brad? All right. Have a good one.
Thanks.
You bet.
Mayor, if I could
Yes.
close, before we leave the resolution section, could you ask the council to give us a little direction for staff? H1 was going to be the contract on the fire extinguishers, and we did get some additional information tonight. What else do you want from that? And then the resolution number 3 on the dog licensing, we withdrew that tonight too. So what do you want us to get to the council so you can make a decision?
Should we vote first on?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
finishing
And,
that?
yeah, if there's no other, if there's no other questions on the recommendation, let's see, I believe that was number 263, 219. Let's go ahead and take the roll call on that. We had a motion and a second.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes. So that passed. Yes, definitely. Let's go back to H1. We did remove those both from the agenda tonight. And I would just say for the record, I think with the information that we had, first was the citywide fire extinguisher services. I think what I would wish we would do there is take a couple weeks to gather some more information regarding both of those bids. And maybe have some more discussion with City Engineer Dwight Dolman and Fire Chief Tony Miller and Deputy Chief over those two contracts and those two bids. After all, I think there's a lot of information out there that maybe the council should review before we look at those bids again. So maybe by the next regular council meeting, have the staff come back with either the same recommendation or an alternate one. Just I want to make sure we all have good information before we make a vote on that. And then for item H3 regarding the licensing fees, I think there might have been some miscommunication. Nothing negative, but just I want to make sure both the city and Heartland Humane are on the same page before we again move ahead. We might want to set a special meeting sooner rather than later once we get those details worked out. Again, nothing out of the ordinary, just possibly make sure all our T's are crossed and I's are dotted. So possibly looking at maybe a special meeting whenever City Clerk Reinhardt thinks that would be appropriate, depending on the issue.
Have to be next week.
It would have to be next week, I know, because we start issuing dog licenses here very soon. So just a little clarification on those two items of why those were removed tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for reminding me on that. Sure, Councilmember Stevens.
Dwight, you gave us a fire extinguisher inventory. How recent is this?
Current.
It's current? Okay, in my opinion, I think we might possibly need to go through there. It's my belief, and I'm not an expert on this by any means, but it's my belief there's probably some items in there the city doesn't need. So those numbers could skew the bottom line. I don't think it would hurt to have Corey Benj visit each department and make sure they have the proper equipment. If not, make sure that they do, and then bid it from there. It'd be more accurate, in my opinion.
You're in trouble now.
No, I think I need to clarify. It's a little bit confusing as a unit price contract. One of the things that was stated in the staff summary was we did send out what we were sending out to all department heads, requesting not only what inventory they had, but if they had any suggestions. What you have to look at is not only the number of fire extinguishers, the size of the fire extinguishers, the type of fire extinguishers, when do they expire, when were they last inspected, are they, and how old are they? Well, we didn't go through and list every one of them, the age, when it's going to come due, because it's based on, we had so many different times that they would come in and do these separate departments. What we were directed to do is to try to come up with an overall city program We had one of the contractors come in and submit that they'd like to bid on two of the departments that were under a competitor. Well, we went through the state process. We done the public publication, sent out the proper notices. This is what we got back. We can take those spreadsheets of individual departments and each individual type of fire extinguishers, and we can put that on a spreadsheet with the dollar amount and what that total bid would be. There are items in this layout that are not specific to the city because it was a boilerplate. Probably should have taken those out, but if you add them in the future, you do have a price. But when you do your spreadsheet based on what each department has, you will have what it cost for each department.
But there's no bottom line on any of this.
We need to put all of those sheets into a spreadsheet. That did not get done because it's a unit price type contract. We can do that and bring it back to you, and you'll see what each department has and what it cost each department. But again, you have to look at that department. When do they come due? Is it this year? Is it next year? Depending on the type of inspection. So it's more than just, here it is.
So let's do that. And then in the meantime, between now and the next regular council meeting, if council members have questions, feel free to reach out to Larry, Fire Chief Miller, City Engineer Dwight Dolman, if there's any questions or issues about this. And then we'll bring it back and have a vote on what we have already and what we know. Council member.
And I just want to make clear, we followed all state bidding procedures.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yes.
So can I just ask just one little point of clarification? Do we not do, or do we do the inspections on these annually?
As required. It depends on the type of inspection you're talking about.
Okay, just making sure. I was kind of mixed up on one of the things that you said just a few seconds ago. So,
you know, and what we did discover throughout, there are some in vehicles that have not been inspected, but they're actually technically not required to have them. So that's where we'd have to go back and assess as a department, you know, are you going to continue to use those? Do you need them? Because there's the regulatory requirement, and then is it just a preferred? So we'll have to sort those two out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that'll be coming up in the next council meeting, just to be aware of that. Okay, moving on to ordinances.
Ordinance number 3167, 2019, amending the zoning ordinance number 3088, 2015 of the City of Ottumwa, Iowa, and as set forth in Chapter 38 in the Municipal Code, City of Ottumwa, Iowa, by amending sections 38-77, 38-115, 38-872, and 38-904. Recommendation passed the first consideration of ordinance number 3167, 2019.
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Okay, Zach Simonson, you got the floor.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Your Honor. This ordinance change would make 4 changes to the zoning code. It's a recognition that banquet hall type uses are a growing part of what our commercial folks are interested in. When these churches, for example, have sold, there are people interested in using those as event spaces. And when our code was originally written, it intended sort of for the fraternal organizations and the churches to do the bulk of that business. But it is now a growing trade in these private event venues. And we wanted to make sure that our zoning code reflected those banquet hall use types. We also wanted to clarify a section in the code that referred to tea rooms as an accessory use for bed and breakfast establishments. We didn't have a use type for tea rooms defined, and we didn't have any supplemental regulations to cover those, and that would correct that. We would define those use types according to what's in the ordinance. We would also allow them on a conditional basis in zones R2, 3, 4, and 5. And they'd be permitted by right in zones C1, 2, 3, 4, and I1. There would be a number of supplemental regulations. The banquet halls would have to follow city and state code for alcohol sales, and they would only be permitted the residential district signage that is set out in Article 31 of the code, which is a 2-foot by 2-foot non-illuminated sign on the wall of the building. Tea rooms would not be able to have a drive-through window and would have similar sign requirements. The other use change is to set parking minimums for those. We had originally proposed 1 space per 3-person capacity for tea rooms and 1 space per 5-person capacity for banquet halls. making banquet halls similar to restaurants. When the Plan and Zoning Commission looked at this recommendation, they tightened that requirement to 1 space for every 3-person capacity in a banquet hall, and we are comfortable recommending that forward. We also wanted to ask to waive the second and third readings of this ordinance, as we do have a pending application for the first conditional use permit. And we also will obviously have the procedure for the zoning board and adjustment and planning and zoning to consider these on an individual basis.
Okay. Questions, concerns on this item? It's nice to see a tea room deal in our zoning.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Okay, Chris, take the roll, please, on A.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Waive the second and third consideration, pass and adopt ordinance number 3167, 2019.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on this item? Take the roll, please.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes. Thanks, Zach. Okay, this is the time of the meeting where the public is invited to discuss anything that is not on the agenda. Give you 3 minutes to discuss anything on your mind that you need to bring before the council. If there's anybody willing and wanting to do that, now's the time to step forward, please. Okay, seeing there is none, we'll move on to petitions and communications. City Administrator?
Just remind people that there is an ECIC meeting in Oskaloosa on the 12th. And if you want to go, please let Katie know that so we can get your registration in. And secondly, we'll do the swearing in of the new council members on the next meeting on the 17th. And then after that meeting, we'll have a short public reception for Victor Strebe, who will be leaving the council.
Okay, any good and welfare from the council? Anything else we need to add? Nothing?
Nope.
Okay, all right. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Second.
All right, take the roll, please, Chris.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes, 6:32 is the time. You guys have a good evening. Thanks again.